My name is Vivek Sood. I am the Managing Director of Global Supply Chain Group based in Sydney, Australia. And today we have with us a very important guest, Tony Fedorovich, who is one of the world's best experts on sales and operations planning. And today's interview is about the true power of sales and operations planning. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you, Vivek. Pleasure to be here.
Tony, let's start with a very simple question. What is the true power of sales and operations planning?
Well, you could answer this question in a number of ways, but I think if you bring it down to the gist of what sales and operations planning actually delivers, it's basically a way to manage the whole business with a consistency and a high level of performance that gives you valid planning and exceptional execution and keeps the whole business on track and together to get the highest outcomes.
Right. So basically it keeps the business humming like a well-tuned orchestra then.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. The maestro in front of the orchestra with all the players in tune, doing the best as individuals as well as collectively, getting the overall sound and harmony right for the audience, which for a company would be the shareholders and their customers and the very important stakeholders.
All right. Now, Tony, the big question is then why do so many companies struggle to get the sales and operations planning right, despite huge investments in sales and operations planning?
Well, where do they invest? I mean, they invest probably in the wrong things to start with. My view is it should start with the people themselves understanding what a sales and operations planning looks like in terms of the concept, in terms of how it fits together, what the important aspects of it are. Then actually with that knowledge and understanding, putting together a process that actually reflects the way it should work, getting each of the subcomponents of the process right, getting the integration amongst those processes right. And then, and this is where companies usually invest, the systems and the tools to support both the people and the processes that they've brought up to the right standard of performance.
Right. So you're saying that companies over-invest in systems and tools and under-invest in strategies and understanding of the true power of sales and operations planning?
Pretty much. Like, you've got to really look at best practice, and best practice is a human thing. It's conceptualizing and then putting into application that concept, and then only then backing that up with the right tools and systems.
Understand. So, what is the better way? Is there a better way?
Well, there's always a better way in anything you do, but especially SOP. I mean, I've seen it in many companies, and the better way is really about, as I said earlier, the people side, understanding where the right focus should be placed, where the gaps are, where it can be improved. Having some profound process understanding, understanding inputs, the process, the outputs, how they all hang together and how they integrate properly, and then using best practice systems to enable that to be done in the most efficient, automated way. But the better way, it really is all about the senior management direction, the engagement of those people, and overarching the change management. Again, it goes back to people initially, and it starts with people and it ends with people, making sure that people's hearts and minds are in there and it's in their best interests to use the process, and more so, that it's not just an option, that it's actually just the way things are in a company, that there's no other option but to use the highly performing process that they have in place.
Right. So what you're saying is make the process mandatory and make the process so easy to use that people want to use it and there's no other way but to
That's
use
right.
it.
They can't circumvent it.
Yes.
And why wouldn't they use it? Because it's so useful and helpful.
Yes. Understand. So who should take charge of the sales and operations planning transformations in the company's story?
Well, they talk about leadership being very important, and it's probably no coincidence why people say that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the CEO. I mean, people say it over and over again. I'm sure CEOs get sick of hearing it, but without their support and understanding and deep energy and motivation to get it right, anything that happens beneath that person is a waste of time. There'll be no sustainability. Well, there might be for a short time, but there won't be longer term, and you won't get that effect that you're after.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, CEO doesn't know everything. I mean, they're usually very intelligent, clever guys, but there'll be times, usually at the beginning of a redesign process, where they'll need some external expert advice.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where consultants or people out there who've been there, done that in various industries, introduced these processes and done it well, are more than worth their weight in gold, right? Because they can just cut through. I mean, there's so much literature, so much out there that can be very confusing. That to get the right expert who can then tailor their experience to your particular circumstances. So it's a combination: CEO, some external advice, bringing that together, and then engaging the troops accordingly in the company.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned worth their weight in gold, so that brings up another question. What kind of results can companies expect from a well-orchestrated sales and operations planning transformation?
There's several. The tangible ones are all financial,
Mm-hmm.
and in every part of the financial equation.
Give us some percentages or numbers.
Okay, a supply chain person would be interested, say, in inventory reduction.
Mm-hmm.
You could get as far as 40 to 60, 70% inventory reduction and an equivalent improvement on service level.
Mm.
Profitability, because you are now positioning the right products in the right places, you're not missing sales. You are now getting more incremental sales as a result of your better delivery performance.
Yes.
So you can get improved profitability through volume.
Yes.
And through less cost associated with having to service back orders and,
Yes.
and all the and moving stock around the place to
Mm-hmm.
where you've actually got gaps and all the rest.
Yes. Yes.
So profitability, working capital,
Mm-hmm.
Revenues.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about not just 5% or 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, depending on what your maturity is
Mm-hmm.
with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's a reasonable process, obviously you won't get that sort of order of magnitude I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But most companies don't do this very well.
Mm-hmm.
So you can easily see in some parameters 100% improvement.
Mm-hmm. In terms of profitability.
It's possible. You can get
All
some
right.
on the top line and
Mm-hmm.
and on the bottom line as well, and
Mm-hmm.
they could add up to
Add
that.
up to
Depends
that.
on how bad shape you're in. 100% is a lot, but
Yes.
you could get at least 50%, say.
All right. Okay. Fantastic.
But that's the tangible. In
Mm-hmm.
terms of the intangible,
Mm-hmm.
you've got just the whole thing about just being in control,
Mm-hmm.
about planning to do something and then doing it.